You're now locked in a room with me, Fanta. First and foremost, I want to say you look really beautiful right now. I mean, you were beautiful before the makeup, but you look great.
Oh, thank you.
And we're gonna get right into it. Like, what is something that you've struggled with, an insecurity that you've struggled with since childhood?
Insecurity that I felt since childhood would definitely be not feeling pretty enough. Yeah, not feeling pretty enough, not feeling like I was ever enough, to be honest, when it came to so many different things. And it also had to do with my background too, growing up, because I did move to a town for about 2 years where they were very racist towards me.
Oh gosh. Is that in New Jersey?
Yeah, Manville.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's just Somerset. And it's just like, I've just always felt like I wasn't enough, because it was like, even when I would feel pretty, I would always be told like, oh, you're ugly. And yeah, that definitely would put me down. And then also, the little remarks that, aunties and uncles make as well.
Yeah.
Like, oh, don't do that. You look ugly when you do that.
Like,
so
what is what could, this is the thing. I have a problem with our African aunties and uncles and the things that they say to children, because like, I remember we were talking earlier, and it's like, you don't know what it is that you could say that would stick to a child for the rest of their lives. Because what could you possibly do that someone would say you shouldn't do that because you're not pretty enough? Like
I know sometimes it's like certain things that I would wear, or like if probably I was to, like certain outfits and stuff, I just really didn't feel, because it was always comparison going on when I grew up, like especially since at that time I would just dress up honestly. And another thing is like, I would always be compared to my sisters and some of my cousins, like, oh look, they look more decent than you. And I remember especially my sisters too, well, they're actually my aunts, but I definitely got it more from them, because we were growing up at one point, and then it's like always, oh, I look better than you, or you're ugly, or he said you're ugly, or so it was just like everyone honestly contributed. It was like family members, school, community. It's like everywhere I went, at least somewhere, like someone was telling me, okay, you're ugly. And my mom would be the only one that would say otherwise. And then sometimes even with the people that I would confide in back then, they wouldn't really help me with that. So it was definitely something I grew up with, feeling insecure. Like, I always compare myself to my sisters. And they're like, because at that time I was really skinny and they were more on the curvy side. And you know how Africans are, oh, you're like a stick, blah, 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 you need to eat. So I'm not going to lie, that definitely did contribute to my insecurity, where it's like, I just felt like nothing I ever did was ever going to make me look beautiful.
When you were hearing these things about not being beautiful enough, how did that affect your social life?
Okay, so with me, I was wild back in the days, to be honest. I didn't know my identity at all. Looking back, to be really honest with you, I didn't. And I was trying to find my identity. I was trying to find my worth, because I was told I was not beautiful, because I did not. My focus was not on God at that time. It was focused on things of the world. And because of that, it was like I was always trying to make up for what could make me feel beautiful. So I started to engage myself in relationships that I shouldn't have been in. And even with those relationships, because they didn't treat me the way I wanted to be treated, it also contributed to me feeling more worse about myself. Like, especially when I get cheated on, and then I'm not gonna lie, some of the guys I dated, like, they said some horrible things about me. So that definitely did contribute, especially not knowing your worth and allowing anyone to just talk to you anyhow. That definitely was it for me, because it was like, I'm growing up and I'm trying to find someone that could tell me that I'm beautiful, someone that could tell me, oh, I love you. And I mean, yes, my parents were telling me that, but it's like I didn't want to just hear that from my parents.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes it's like you just want to hear that from someone else, but the real person who I really wanted to hear that from was really God.
I see.
And I feel like sometimes just like how when you're not really in Him, it's like you're looking for that. You know something is missing.
Yeah.
So back then I knew something was missing, and I thought that me probably feeling more better by myself, finding it in other men and in other things that I shouldn't be doing would help me feel better by myself. But in reality, it actually made me feel worse. So honestly, it was a lot of ups and downs for me. One thing I can say, like I was saying before, when I got involved in a relationship, it was more about like just doing things that I know I didn't want to do, but I did it anyway, like drinking and having sex and stuff, and just so I could keep that individual that would make me feel like I am beautiful, because at that time I didn't want to, but I would still do that because I just felt like if I was to give my all to this person, then I would feel beautiful, but I really didn't. And then it's also like being around certain people, like you trying to fit in the crowd, especially high school. High school, definitely going back to the town where Manville for I was there for about a year and a half, and I would always try to fit in with the crowd because one, it's only like 3 or 4 black people there.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a white town, and then it's just like, you know, at that time everyone's in a relationship, and then I'm the black girl, nobody really wants me, and I'm just like, oh man, it's because I'm dark skinned. And there was a time I actually wanted to bleach.
Oh God.
There was a time I actually wanted to bleach, to be honest, because I'm like, oh, maybe I should just be a little bit lighter, maybe somebody would like me, maybe somebody would want me, because it's just like I just wanted to feel wanted, because it's just like, okay, nobody wants me, so I'm not beautiful, to the point where I got depressed. And I couldn't really express myself to anyone because no one really understood. I never really had anyone around me to really talk about that type of stuff too.
Yeah.
Looking back, I didn't have anyone to talk to about those type of stuff. I mean, I had my mom, but am I really going to tell my mom about that?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want someone who's around your friend group. And I would be really depressed, and no one could help me with that. And I'm just like, God, at that time, I wasn't really relying on God to help me with that. It's just like the more depressed I felt, the more unwanted, the more I would throw myself at people. It's like, no, okay, you don't want me, well, maybe I have to fix something about myself so that way you may want me. And it's just like trying to wear different clothes, like to the point that like I would really try to change my whole identity just so that I could fit in with the crowd. And I still didn't fit in. Actually, it made it even worse. And I think that's part of the reason why it took me so long to really feel beautiful about myself, because I kept thinking about the things I had to do to fit in that made me feel less beautiful, even when God was telling me who I am. So I know there was one point in my life that I wanted to kill myself.
God forbid.
And I thank God I didn't. There was actually one time, this is actually my first time that I'm actually talking about this. There was one time I wanted to kill myself. It was just because I just didn't feel like there was anything worth living for. I felt like no one wanted me. I felt like I wasn't enough. I felt like I just wasn't good enough for anyone. Sister, cousin, I just wasn't, nobody appreciated me. And because I felt like I wasn't appreciated, it affected everything about me, to the way I would act. I was very disobedient. I was very very disruptive. I mean, when it came to school and my grades, I had that. But everything else, to how I would act towards my parents, to the type of people I hang out with, like I was very disobedient. And it's because I was very restless in my spirit, because I knew that, okay, Fanta, there's something more that you want. And when I wanted to kill myself, I couldn't, because I just knew deep down inside, and it's because I came from a Christian background as well. And I just knew deep down inside that that wasn't the way out. And if I was to kill myself, I'll go to hell. That's the main reason why I didn't kill myself, to be honest, because I'm like, I don't want to go to hell. So, I mean, I guess being depressed and stuff is just better. And I just never really I was so sad when I was younger, because it's like I just never felt enough. I was so sad, and it's like even when I would fit in with certain crowds, like just the degrading comments that they will make, oh, you're ugly, or you don't look good. Even after I came to know about my worth and I started to change my friend group, because my mentality wasn't changed and I was still fixed on what people said about me in the past, because it was all deposits, to be honest. Like, it was a stronghold on my mind that I wasn't good enough. So even after I removed myself into a different situation where I had better people around me, I still was struggling with the mentality that I had, because I was still holding on to those things, to the point that I even had my ex would always tell me, you know what, I don't know what I can do to tell you that you're beautiful. Like, you're very beautiful. I want you to see it. And I'll just look at it and I'm like, deep down inside, I'm like, you're lying. And it's like to the point where no one could tell me you're beautiful. And it really took me believing in God to know that I am beautiful.
So how did you transition to that, where it's like, I see myself the way God sees me?
You know, honestly, it's a everyday declaration that you have to make to yourself, because even to this day, it's still a struggle at times. But I always have to remind myself, you know, what does the Word of God say? Like, in the Bible says that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, that I am made in His image, that He made all things perfect, meaning that there's no flaw. So meaning that in the world, they may see a flaw in me, but in God, He doesn't. And I honestly do think it boils down to, where does your identity come from? Because honestly, it was really last year that I started to walk in my identity. Not the identity that the world created or the identity that Fanta created, but the identity that God created for me, that God gave me. And that was through seeking Him. And it was through actually reading the Word and applying it over my life. Because the thing is, we have to understand, like, when it comes to mindset, it's so hard to change. Renewing your mindset is something you have to do daily. It's not something that happens overnight. So something you've been brought up with for so long is going to be impossible for you to change overnight. Obviously, you probably might be doing well for maybe 6 months, and then a new situation might happen where you have to remind yourself, I am fearfully, wonderfully made. I am beautiful. God said that I am wonderful, that there is no flaw in me. So it's just continuously reminding yourself, who are you? Because the enemy is also going to try to put you down, and he's going to also try to make you feel insecure of who you are. But when you know who you are in God, and you know that God is stable and He is the solid rock that He says He is, then you know that, you know what, even if this person says that this is who I am, I know who I am. And I'm going to look at Christ. And I feel like it also depends on, where is your focus? Are you focusing on the things that other people are pointing out, or are you focusing on what God has said about you? Because honestly, when I look back at all the times I felt insecure, it's really because I was looking at the things that people had pinpointed about me. And it made me feel more insecure about myself. But it's like, why am I looking at what other people are looking at when God is telling me to look at Him? Because honestly, when you really look at it, when you look at God, and when you're focused on the things of God, He helps you. You feel more at peace with yourself. It's like God is saying you're beautiful. Oh, God thinks I'm beautiful. So you're like, you know, it's just like a great sense of peace and joy that you feel. But the minute you start to draw your attention from God and you start to focus on the things of the world, and like, oh, well, you have big lips and big lips don't look good on you. And, you know, all these little comments that people make, then it starts to, and comparing yourself to
my God, comparing is a thief of joy.
Was something that comparing. And honestly, I really feel like when you know whose you are and what it is that God has given to you, then you're not busy looking at what other people have, because you know that what other people have, God did not give them.
Yeah.
So what God gave you for a reason,
for a reason and a purpose.
Exactly,
yeah.
to carry out your own purpose, not to carry out somebody else's purpose.
Yes.
And the thing is, when we start to compare, oh well, she has this and I don't have that, then it robs you from the joy that you have about what makes you unique.
And you know what's crazy about comparison? This day and age is even worse because there's social media.
Social media.
OMG.
And not only that, social media, I feel like if you don't know your identity, if you're not rooted in things of God, then your identity, you'll pick it from somebody else.
Yes.
Because when you're scrolling down on IG, you're looking at other things that people have, and deep down inside, you're like, oh, I wish I had that, or I wish my life was like that. Because there are certain situations where we wish could be, better. Like, for example, if you don't have a car and you see somebody that has a nice car on IG, then all of a sudden, you want a car, and it starts to make you feel insecure, and you start to get jealous.
There's a desire for that car. Yeah.
But it's like, what you don't need to. You could look on social media and not be worried about what the other individual has by being content in what you have.
Yeah.
And if you're not content with what you have, what can you do?
That's true.
So that way you can make your life better. Like, one thing that I've always said, like, I like to take myself out to eat. I like to go out to eat. I like to go places. I like to travel.
Yeah.
Like, because all of those things, if you're stuck in the same location all the time and you're not going out to eat, you're not dressing up, and you see somebody else doing that, obviously because you've been stuck in the house for so long, you're going to start feeling like you're not beautiful enough because you're not dressing up, you're not, doing all these kind of things. So sometimes it's not only just reading the word of God and knowing your identity, but it's also practicing these things. Like, what can I do to make myself look beautiful? Okay, so I like this dress on me. I like certain outfits on me. So I like the color red on me, so I'm gonna wear red, and I'm gonna do my hair. I like curly hair on me, so I'm gonna have my hair curled up sometimes when I go out to eat, and I'm gonna take pictures. Those little things help you feel better. Obviously, if you're doing stuff you like to do, you're gonna feel better about yourself. But if you're not doing the things you want to do, then you're not gonna feel that way. And then when you see other people doing it, you're gonna envy them.
Oh, that's true. You're gonna start envying them because you knew that could have been you. It's like, oh, that could have been me, or that should be me. So I feel like also like contributing to that self elevation where your mind is, okay, I'm beautiful and these are the things that make me beautiful. And I guess surrounding yourself with positive things. And like sometimes social media is not too positive and people need to just like take away from there.
People you have to mute. I feel like one thing I've learned in this season, just because I know you doesn't mean I have to follow you. If I feel like you're not going to contribute to my peace, and if I look on your social media and there's a negative energy that you're going to give me, I'm going to mute you, or I'm going to unfollow you. It's either one of the two, because it's at this point, it's anything that I need to do to maintain my peace, I need to do that. Anything I need to maintain my walk with God, or to make sure that I'm in alignment with the things of God, I have to do it. Like, there's certain people, I love them, but I have to mute them, because sometimes when I look at their page, it's just, they rob the joy that God has given me. And it's just like, sometimes it's just, these quotes, not quotes, but like when people share memes, I feel like some of these memes are actually very degrading. And honestly, if I notice that you're one of them, that you post memes that are very degrading that will make me feel like, okay, maybe I'm not worth it, then I'm not going to follow you. Because the more I look at that, I'm feeding my spirit man into thinking that, okay, you're not worth it, that the value that you think you have, you don't have, and that's not true. So one thing I did is I followed a lot of spirit-filled pages, and I followed a lot of pages that I believe will make me feel beautiful about myself and help me also my life with God. Because if you are surrounding yourself, like you said, with negative energy, negative words, negative thinking, then obviously all you're going to think is negative about yourself.
Yeah, that's true. I'm happy that you're still alive. I'm happy that God kept you. I'm happy. And I want you to know that just because you don't think, if there's ever days that you feel like I'm not beautiful enough, I hope watching this video would show you how beautiful you are. Because even like talking to you now, I just keep looking at your face and I'm like, wow, you look so good. Like, you know, and like for you to even tell me that there was a point in your life where you felt like you weren't beautiful, it's like, how dare you, you know, how dare you think that of yourself? But I completely understand how people can do that to us, how the enemy can do that. But thank you so much, Fanta.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. God bless you.